If you have slow mechanics and want to go in FNCS, this is the video for you. These three players recently qualified to round 2 in the FNCF Cups, and the way they did it was by being smart, not using fast mechanics. First of all, this first fight, as you can see there, they had just beamed that guy, and I like the way they got the loot. They captured it, but didn't just tunnel vision it. Like, they had awareness of where these other opponents were, and once they get the loot, they hear those guys go back into the tunnel. They don't do the bad idea and tunnel vision them, because fighting in that tunnel would have been a nightmare. They want to get even more loot, and the stacked medallion, chug and AR that you get from killing the boss up on this island. The launch pad, quite a smart play, allows them to get to it way quicker and avoid these players to fly over their head. You do have to time it well though. If you go for it, you could get beam out the air, so be careful when you're doing that play, guys. I am sick with harness, so sorry if you hear any of that. And look at what you get from killing this boss. If you can, guys, go risk it, because you'll be stacked, and you can also, once you get all the loot, you can use the island to rotate. When Storm pulls off the island, that's exactly what this team does. Now, teams to the left and right, to be honest, they probably got a bit lucky that those teams didn't beam them, but I do like the way they went in between the trees there, just to give them a little bit of a chance. Also, making a lot of space and not being greedy with their mats. Okay, they didn't put themselves in one by one. Instead, they made a big long tarp underneath the hill, which would be really hard for the other opponents to shoot and beat them. I do like the way Beelight is also scouting those opponents up there just to get awareness. And as you can see, island isn't in, but Storm does actually pull back towards it. So what do they do? Well, they rotate quite early here, and I like that, because if you wait too long in this situation, only more players are going to rotate in behind you and shoot you when you rotate. Okay, it would be different if there was a load of teams in front of them, but then rotating early would probably be a bad idea. And again, Storm, once it opens up, you do take a bit of storm damage, but sometimes it's worth it, because then you can already have a fully built structure and control of the area you want to be in. And that's exactly what they have here. And I mean, it also is heals, so they weren't even sacrificing that much. What's so good about the island is position, and you can get loot and materials all back off the island. Guys, it is a risky thing. And you know, you might think, oh, what if I don't have the best mechanics? Should I go there? But if you do what these guys did, rotating it before everyone else and using your ARs to control your position, but then you're going to be just fine. But you have to be aware, okay? You can't get up with this and another team fly up on you and get the ambush. You have to be aware. Because of the bad zone they got, they have to rotate smartly here. And again, when they're flying down, they are going to the right hand side of these trees just as extra cover and safety. And even when they're rotating on land, they're using these builds and this bit of a decline in the hill to rotate even safer. Now you can see there is a lot of boxes to the right, so they are being a bit cautious of that. I really like this base though they made on a higher layer in hards and in a good position to rotate out of. Again, they get unlucky with the storm pull, but they use the splashes so they have the speed boost, and this is smart. When one of your teammates don't have a bat, you can do exactly what they just did there. Just send them forward, and then all you have to do is catch back up. So again, nothing special, no fast mechanics, just being smart. All your team has to do is sprint against that wall, and then you can bat them forward. I also like this position, again, getting higher up, because when you have the bat, it's so much easier to jump off of builds and kind of send yourself flying than when you're on low ground just running and trying to build while batting, and people would spray you. A lot of players in Div 3 always want to know, how do you get high ground? Well, as you can see, this team just got it. But it's not about how you get it, I think it's more about when you get it. Because of how small the Storm is about to be, and how much materials this team does have, I think it's actually a good play to go for high ground here. So many teams make the mistake going high ground before this zone. This zone, 8 or 12, is the minimum, or basically it's the earliest one you should be going for. If you don't have cap materials or like the world's best position, you should never ever go for height before that zone. This team though is looking for it, and they do beam these guys, so it's interesting to see. Okay, no, because of maybe how high up, that team doesn't actually try and pressure these guys off of high ground. Again, as you can see, position is the main thing that helps them, not mechanics. Those guys didn't come fight them, they didn't have to Peter bot their way to keep the high ground. All they had to do was be in a good position. When you mainly only have to use your ARs to win stacked games, that's how you know your IGL is doing a good job and leading you to success. Do I like this big long tarp? I actually do, because of how much materials they have. They are quite high up though, and if one of their teammates don't have a bat, that does make me a bit nervous. So it is interesting. Will they go a bit further down? Okay, yes. They go a bit further down and they probably connect to that second team on height. When there is a team on second height below you like them, you have to be keeping an eye on them, because they could spray you down and grief you. And is that exactly what he starts doing? You know, I think the mistake that this guy Beli is doing right now is he's not putting down enough pressure. But replay could be glitching. Maybe he doesn't have as much AR ammo as we think. But if you do have AR ammo, you need to be spraying these opponents, okay? Okay, look at that. So I think, is he trying to steal from or just rotating? It was just rotating. At least it was good awareness. They have good awareness, guys, when you're on high ground. There's a few things you need to know. One of them would be to not greed kills, okay? Unless you're really scuffed and need a refresh, like say you have 0 builds, everyone on the team, don't greed kills. Your main job to keep high ground is to spray people, to make them think twice about going for your high ground, and maybe just to full on stop them being careful. Look at this, I like what they're doing. They're spraying this team in metal. Metal suggesting they might be healthy, they might have a lot of mats, so they could go for height, so you definitely want to be spraying a team like this. And they're shotgunning, which makes me think they are low on AR ammo. So that makes a lot more sense why they aren't putting down more pressure. I think his team would just dropped him a bit of ammo there. This also shows how important getting AR ammo is, guys, early game. You know, you might not care too much for the ammo boxes, but it actually can come in clutch. Looting as much ammo boxes you can off spawn. Again, even though they don't have ammo, they're not doing anything too risky. They have enough materials, so why not just play them out? You know, some might be like, oh, we don't have ammo, gotta jump in a box, get it. Yes, that can be like a clutch play, but sometimes you just have to play with what you have and play it out. It's interesting. The IGL has done a really good job here at using their mats sparingly, and they probably got a bit lucky the fact that Storm does pull back through old builds. And when that does happen, guys, you should be aware that maybe high ground will be, you know, more stacked than you'd like, and they'll have materials to be able to hold it easier. So in those situations, that's sometimes when playing low ground can be the better option. So yeah, it seems like maybe when their team has got a refresh, because they're now putting on more pressure with their ammo, and as you can see, it is scuffing these opponents. 13 players left. These Div 3 tournaments are actually really stacked, because I mean everybody is playing to qualify. They really want to qualify. Only a few players left. Let's see if they make a mistake. push this game up. They nearly did. Dying to Storm there would have been really, really stupid, to be honest. They did not need to psycho that kill as hard as they did. I like this though, playing together, shooting the same person. This Beelight does go down. Do they have heal off? No. GUTY just gets the kill. And that is the first win. With the second one, there's some more insane strategies to learn. Beelight just spotted people that were coming to their POI, to their location. So what do you do when a team potentially is trying to double kill you? Well, if your team is split up, you need to try your best to get back together and basically make a lot of space in a box, because if you make a lot of space, it makes it a lot harder for a team just to get in on one guy and grief him. And you're safer, you know. They have to get through more layers to get to you. I like this too. Teammate, good awareness, giving that big pot to Beelight. Interesting how the Empire guy didn't get one. Maybe this guy is their best fragger on the team. And that's actually also something else to learn is, you know, depending on situation or your loot, maybe you should prioritize giving the better loot to the best fighter. Okay, don't have an ego, guys. There definitely is somebody on your team that's probably the better fighter. Give them the best weapons, okay? If you're the IGL, you know you're not the best fighter, just don't have the ego. Give that fragger the better gun. I also do like the way they're playing a bit patient, you know. I'm speeding this up so I can see exactly what they're doing, but they're playing patient. They're not looking for kills, guys. These guys are really a passive team, and that's what helps them to qualify, because they don't die as much, because they don't take as much fights. And maybe that's because they've slow mechanics and they aren't trying to triple at it and they're not level at Peterbot. Bad awareness though there by Empire. When you're on top of a building like that and you're not covering yourself and you know there's enemies nearby, you're bound to get beamed. Okay, the biggest thing there is when you know there's enemies nearby, you have to just be so careful with sneaking, trying to catch them off guard. So it's likely someone might have eyes on you and get the beam on you. I do like the fact though they went up to the top of this building, because now as you can see, they get so much awareness on the people around them. If they stayed at the bottom, they would know nothing about enemies there nearby. And when they eventually go and rotate, they could just get beamed from the guy on the roof who has been waiting for them. So yeah, please guys, in most situations, especially if you can and you're not going to lose anything for it, try and get higher, either on a mountain or on building. Now something really strange is about to happen that you would see. Yeah, as you can see there, he splits those builds, but watch what happens very soon. That wooden stairs, I don't know if it's a glitch in replay or what, but for every reason, when he destroys it, the whole building gets destroyed. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen, and if someone can comment down below, please let me know what happened. But they just get themselves 2 easy kills, and now they are stacked. And I also like the fact that they're not real idiots, okay? They're boxing up in hearts on the materials, not in wood. Because when someone, like a whole team, gets killed like that, that is when a third party might try and get involved and get that loot. Here, as you can see, no fancy mechanics, just good switching of angles. And it's nice and edit there. It's all you need to kill this opponent. Now I honestly don't know why this Vax guy didn't just run away and maybe come back to get his team with reboots, but he didn't, and they kill him. And I like the fact that they're getting the double revive straight away and not greeding the loot. Here, as you can see, they're on the rotate again. The biggest thing, guys, if you have slow mechanics, is you have to be like 3 IGLs. You all have to be smart, or just listen to your good IGL. But the rotates is honestly the biggest thing, okay? That's why I'm talking about them so much in this video, and that's why the video is a bit more like slow paced, because when you're watching just fights, it's easier just to like describe what they do. But when it comes to rotates, you need to have a lot more of the context and the thinking behind it. So again, we saw this in the last game, using the splash effect, But now the fact that they all have base for bats, nobody gets hits forward, which I do like, because, you know, when you do bat a team forward, there is a risk. And you bat them forward, another team lands on them before you get to them, and then they die. But still is the play to bat them forward, guys. I'm just saying, this is probably why they're not batting each other forward. I'm saying that so much. But you understand my point. I like this rotate though, going on the left hand side of the hill. You know, any players or teams on the right side, they have no angle, they can't shoot these guys. And I do like the building behind himself there by B-Light. Good awareness and not being greedy. They do actually get in here, and that was a really good rotate. One thing that you should took note of is they took breaks when their sprint went. With the Whistle Bat, you're obviously sprinting, but you don't have infinite sprint. So what you have to do is take breaks, use wood, build a little base, and then just continue rotating. You don't just run slowly out in the open when the stamina goes and then get beamed, because that's what would happen. I know so many improvement Fortnite YouTubers just simply say, rotate that side, it's the play, but they say it for a reason, because it's so overpowered. But this is where you might be rotating to that side and make a mistake. As you can see, there's a team in front of them that is going to hold them the second they rotate. So what do? They just stop and they wait it out for the right moment. This is where you might make a mistake, guys. You know, oh, the YouTuber said rotate that side. Yes, but it's situational and you have to have awareness. You can't just blame it on the YouTuber's tips, okay? They are rotating that side here, but because there's a team in front of them, they are building more than they probably would like to, but they have to use these builds or they would just get beamed. And they're also fighting back. That little spray there by Empire would make that team maybe stop for like a second, and look, it's allowed them to get a little bit closer in. It's actually allowed them to get into zone. So now they're in this really nice position on that side, but in zone and on a high layer again. And what can they do? Because they went early and all these other teams have to rotate, they can do their best and shoot these guys trying to rotate in. One thing to take note of here is they do get lucky with the storm pull. It literally pulls onto their massive base, so they're going to be able to keep high ground a lot easier. But a lot of teams would make a mistake here that would allow them to get destroyed. Oh, well, I think you see the point I was about to make. B-Light does actually make the mistake, but he got lucky to not die from it. The mistake is when you're trying to hold all these teams here, when you're on a high layer, you overextend your body and get killed from a team looking at you with ARs. What you have to do is peek, like for moments, peek from different angles and try to peek on right hand peaks. Okay, I like this. You know, as you can see, B-Noob, B-Light, these two players, they're like trying to get awareness of the lobby by literally just looking at what they can see over the stairs instead of going out into the open and getting destroyed. Did they just get to start on the pull their way again? Yes, they did. That is really, really lucky. But, you know, even when teams like this get lucky, guys, or if you get lucky, don't have an ego. Because think about all the games you've played, definitely have made a mistake even when you're stacked on loot and you know you should have got a better placement in that game. Don't ever think you're better than any of these opponents, guys, because I've done that too many times in soda cash cups and been punished for it. So, you know, this mindset is probably helping these guys to not get killed, because I think they're not over peeking too much. They're changing their position. Like, yes, so you see the B-Light was on the left hand side and now he's here. He didn't just stand in the open spraying the same guy for too long. This is also important, shooting second height. I talked about this in the last game. Everyone talks about it. It's just the right thing to do. Sometimes there's like a universal Fortnite logic / tip that everyone should follow because it's just the right play. And I think this game they have way more AR ammo, so as you can see, they're putting pressure down. Now, yeah, okay, I don't think B-Light should focus the guys on backside of Storm too much. because they're not going to be the biggest threat, because usually the people in that position are scuffed on loot and just looking for a last minute refresh to keep them alive. It's usually the guys right below you at second height like this are the ones you need the pressure off, because they are going to be stacked. Empire does seem to be a bit low here, and I would much prefer this high ground to be a little bit higher, but I imagine it's probably because they're running out of materials. Is there a building nearby? Okay, unfortunately the zone doesn't go through to the building, because if it does, you should always try and go to the building, either reharvest it for some mats or just use it as a tarp momentarily. Like that. Good communication, drops the big pot for his teammate. And okay, nice, picks up the med. I thought he was using his wall hacks just there, there and Storm, a bit dodgy. But no, he was just looking at his med mist. Again, I hope you've seen in this video, these guys, they've yet to use any fancy mechanics, guys. In trios especially, you don't need to be using fancy / fast mechanics. You just have to play smart. So whatever you do, get yourself a smart IGL. Now, if you are watching to this point in the video, I actually don't have a trio. So if you're on Europe, you're a good player, maybe comment down below and I might see if I'm down to trio with you. But yeah, that was a really good refresh there by Beelight. Get his team some crucial materials. And nice, using minis, nothing wrong with that. Dropping ammo. Thinking about the heal off, I think. Yeah, okay, I like that. You do have to try and prepare at the right time. If you leave it too last minute to drop your team at the heals to play Storm, at that point a team might jump on you, people panic and things go wrong. So it's definitely better to give them the meds too early than too late. And sometimes it's the same logic when it comes to playing them. You know, if you leave it too late, let's say in a situation here, into top of this very weak wooden tarp, a player could shoot you down, you could die to fall damage, or they could just kill you. But if you go a little bit early, like he did just there, 5 seconds early, they won't shoot you down in time, and you can play the meds and just hope you have enough. And as you're about to see, it is enough, and they get themselves a second win, which helped them qualify to round 2 in FNCS. And I hope this video does too. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.